And you can see them here insofar as we're looking at B, F, and D, I think it is. The structure there, again, is the top Ordovician. Yes, it's B, F, and D in FBD order, if that's helpful. We may drill additional wells. We'll now have 2 rigs in place, and we'd be looking at, and we have identified up to 10 different well locations, each of them having slightly different permutations with regard to how you might go about drilling the well, given the type of reservoir that you're drilling into. The first well that we want to drill, and the reason we're drilling it, is that it proves up some 2 to 3 trillion cubic feet. It's a very important well, not so much for flow rate, but more for proving up gas volumes. Program will run through back end of 2010. We're just about here now, just getting into the 84 vertical well. 85 and 86, 85 will be a pilot and a horizontal well, and we'll talk a little bit about that. 86 and 87 will, again, 86 will be a vertical and 87 will be a pilot and a horizontal. So we're going to be busy with news flow from each of these wells right the way through to August, September, closing out back end of September through to October. Now, we need from October through to the April of 2012 to interpret all of this, move forward with a field development plan, get that plan approved, and then move into further commercialization. Needless to say, if all of this does not work out as we drill, we have a backstop where we'll just cut and run. This is the view of the base Ordovician, and effectively what you have here is Ordovicians around 400 million years old. Now, I promised I wouldn't get in much into geology, and what you have here is, at that time, this part of Algeria would have been sitting on the South Pole, and these are glaciated, incised glaciated valleys running down into a shallow marine environment, which were over time backfilled and various different layers then laid over them. And at the top Ordovician then you had impervious seal created. So it's a very similar proposition geologically to the anonymous field. In other words, that the gas down to is pretty much at the same depth. They're also dealing with these incised glaciated valleys. They're also dealing with tight gas and how best to drill. And so are Tin Fui Tabancourt, the Total field, is exactly the same as this. Same type of gas, same porosity figures, same distribution of flow rates, and again, same gas down to level insofar as gas in place is concerned. This is the view along the ridge at the top Ordovician, and what I want to draw your attention to here is all these lines that are now running through the map. And what we've been able to do with the wide azimuth seismic is to be able to pick out fractures within the structure. And these are incredibly important for being able to generate good flows. So one of the areas in the first well we drilled in this structure flowed at over 6,000 barrels a day, and the reason it did that was it was able to access fractures and high permeability streaks that allowed it to flow. I mean, in the end it was constrained by the equipment that we had there, but the flow rates were constrained by the equipment that we had there. But it has taught us that we really need to concentrate on the detail and getting as much out of this 3D seismic as we can. This is the top Ordovician for field number 5, and if you take that little box there, it sits in that area of fractures that you saw on the previous map, and if you blow it up, it looks a little bit like this. And what you've got here is you've got a high spot, or what they call a pop-up, which is where the basic pressures that created all these different fractures around the field, around the target zone, have actually pushed the structure up. And we can pick these out all over the map, all over the structure of the field, where these highly fractured areas have had a sort of uplifting effect. For us, they become very significant in that we've targeted a lot of our wells around these areas, and we've identified some 75 of them over the field in its total. So you can see that here by the gradient lines as well. And you can also see it here on this is a pop-up here at 85, which is the well that you're just drilling. And so, as per the previous, technology is highly important for us to, and basing our decision making on technology influence is highly important insofar as how we go forward with these projects. This is what it looks like in 3D, and you could imagine if you just put a vertical well through here and you missed all of these fracture zones, your production rate would basically be the baseline permeability and porosity of the rock. What we plan to do in these horizontal wells is target them through each of as many of these different fractured zones as we can, so that we get the additional flow rates through from the fractures into the well bore and then up into the production facility. And there you can see it in a cross section. As you can see, this one well coming down here goes through nothing other than the various different intervals in the structure, whereas the deviated well, which will be what we'll be targeting after the pilot, will run through at least 5 fracture zones for that particular well. Okay, as I said, we'll be drilling through to September, October of this year. We raised 120 million in Q2 of this year, with a view to putting that capital to work on here. So we're funded for our work program as it currently stands. Insofar as finishing from the delineation drilling, we have the discovery reports to file. We'll start commercial negotiations, which we're underway with already in terms of gas price realizations. And then we'd look at a further farm out over and above the farm out that we're targeting now. And that's always for investors. What you should be looking for is for us to farm out enough to give you confidence that there's good balance sheet and good expertise behind the company, and we believe that we have that. And then what you'd want to see as you go through into the large capex phase is another significant farm out where project financing capabilities and project management and plant development can be established. Am I done? Okay. That's just the news flow, and for anyone who's interested, we have a blue chip investor base at this point. The top 3 there, Capital, BlackRock and Fidelity, have been with us for quite a while now. They hold between them about 15–17%. They're about 70% institutional and about 30% retail. So for any of the retail guys, you guys provide the liquidity. So we're very grateful for that investment too. Thank you.
For time reasons, you have to rush through that last part of the presentation, but Alan will be available for an hour of networking where we can take many more questions and answer anything else. And there will be lots more information on the website. So we're gonna move on to the final company this evening. A few of you